All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have in this case is a piecewise function. You may be familiar with the piecewise function. You may not be familiar with the piecewise function. We will be using more piecewise functions later in the year. When we do, we'll come across that. For now, all we really need to know is how to evaluate a piecewise function. And if you just want a quick little rundown of a piecewise function is basically a function that combines two or more functions. And how do you combine functions? Well, you combine a function. You use one function for a given constraint, and then you use the other function for the other constraint. So remember, if you were looking into like all the values of x, well, for all the values of x that are greater than 2, we use or apply this function. For all the values that are less than or equal to 2, we're going to use this function. So let's get into our problem if we are going to do f of -2. If we want to evaluate a function for the value of -2, well, we just plugged it in, right? And that was easy, because you just had one function. When you have a piecewise function, you need to say, well, if I'm going to plug it in for the value, I need to determine which function will -2 will I have to evaluate for. So -2, is that less than or equal to 2, or is that greater than 2? It's obviously less than, right? So therefore, you can only going to evaluate it into this function. So that would be f of 5 times -2 plus 3. 5 times -2 is going to be -10. -10 plus 3 is -7. Oh, well, I guess I didn't really do too much thinking on this absolute. So you guys can see, though, in every case of this, all these values are less than or equal to 2, right? So you're just going to plug them in for each one. Let's do this kind of quickly. 0, 5 times 0 would be 0 plus 3 is 3. If I did 5 times 1, 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 8. And let's just do one for fun. What if I did f of 6? Well, if you guys do f of 6, you can see that 6 is not less than or equal to 2, right? So you'd have to use the other equation. So therefore, you'd plug in that, which would be 6 squared minus 3. 6 squared is 36, minus 3 is 33. Do you guys see the difference? It's really the same thing we've been doing, except now we have more than one function to use. OK? And you have to do it based on your constraints.